Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I am Jason. As always, the best insurance agent in the state of Utah. Mr. Zach Partridge is with me. What's up, sir?
Yeah, people should hit me up for that.
They should, because I've had USAA for years, like 20 years insurance. I'm just kind of out of sight, out of mind. I've always thought it was good. And you hit me up, 2 months ago?
Yep.
Asked me to run it. You said, hey, can I just run it and just check and see if I can save you money? Sure, why not? And I saved over $100.
I think so.
Yeah, I know so. It was over $100.
And better coverage.
Just saying.
Just saying.
And this isn't me selling my co-host. This is legit. Like, this is really legit. Like, I saved money.
It's good work.
It's damn good work.
It's good.
So we had a bomb ass freaking card.
That was freaking awesome.
That's one of the best cards of the year. I mean, I know it's recency biased. We had Wailing, Joanna, but top to bottom, this card was phenomenal.
Name one boring fight.
Chase Hooper and freaking Peter Barrett.
That was not boring.
That was the most boring fight.
Okay, that might have been the most boring fight, but it wasn't boring.
You know what they need to do with Chase Hooper is they need to give him a developmental contract. He's not going to be competitive.
He had one.
He needs another one because he's horrible. He was down on the.
Take that back.
He's horrible.
He's not horrible.
He's not UFC caliber talent.
His grappling is 100% UFC caliber talent. His striking is not, though.
No.
But guess what? Khabib wasn't forever either.
He's too young, man. You got to let him get a couple more years under his belt somewhere.
We're going to Sage North cut him. He'll get these wins, and then he'll get to a level where he can't win.
They gave him Peter Barrett, which, I mean,
it was a fun fight though.
Peter Barrett was winning. I put money on
Barrett's a savage.
I threw $10 on him. I thought I was going to win, and he gets freaking caught in the third round. Damn it!
But that's the other thing too. Chase Hooper's an elite grappler for the flyweight division.
Isn't he only like
featherweight?
Is he like a purple belt or blue belt? He's not very high. I don't think he's.
Maybe because he doesn't roll in gi. Technically, LJ Schultz is a purple belt, but the dude's a freaking black belt. Like, I don't care who you say. Like, go roll with LJ Schultz. Like, that dude's a black belt. You know what I mean? Like, it's different. And man, like, I see it, but there are things with Chase Hooper that you could say you don't like or whatever, and we're just going to go up the card. But we're starting with Chase Hooper.
For sure.
He's tough. He doesn't
He is tough. He's durable.
He's 21 years old. He doesn't get knocked out. He doesn't get rocked. He doesn't seem phased. Like, he doesn't panic. Like, he has great composure. Like, there's something there. But the problem is I think he's gonna do the same thing that Sage Northcutt did. He'll get to a level where it's not his experience just isn't enough to break through, and then it's tough.
If you're his manager, why wouldn't you want him to take a step back and build him up a little bit slower? I mean, he's just a kid. He's 21 years old. I'm not saying you can't be talented at 21, but it just seems like he just needs. It's all there, though. You're right. I mean, the kid's 6'1" at 145 pounds. He's got size, he's got length, he's got jujitsu, but he's just.
By the way, you know this. Strength wise, Peter Barrett is dang near his. For a male, like 31 to 32 years old is like your peak for performance.
Yeah.
He went in a grown, fully developed man. Yeah. And Chase Hooper looks like he could still pass for a high school kid.
Oh,
like his body. I mean, his body is, has nothing. And he's still winning fights in the UFC. Peter Barrett's not a high level UFC guy, but he's winning fights in the UFC. Dude, I mean, he might end up filling out and being like a real 145. 5-6 years from now, he could be a really big problem. The question is, what happens between now and when he gets to be like 27, 28? And that's where the UFC has to be super careful. I think he should only fight once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And selective matchups that are like Peter Barrett, not high level UFC guys, but guys that are in the UFC.
Yeah. Don't throw him to the wolves.
Give him CM Punk. Like, come on.
CM Punk. Oh
I
man,
like Chase Hooper. I don't. What's up, George?
what's up, George? Thanks for joining us.
Love George.
I do.
But
I like him. It was just a boring
how
fight.
can you not? And he's funny. He does the Ben Askren show, and he's Ben Askren's kid, and it's funny. And dude, his striking's better than Ben Askren's.
I'm a little bitter. I'm just a little bitter because I lost $10, but no big deal.
And very smart. Went and trained with Ryan Hall, who is
smart.
a jiu-jitsu specialist. And if he goes and develops a game like Ryan Hall's, dude,
I
think he's doing the right things. Like, I think he's doing the right things.
Yeah.
Would it have been better, served him well to do the LFA circuit for 2 or 3 years? Probably. But we're past that now.
Yeah, got to make the most of it.
Figure it out.
Oh, next up we had Tcia Torres versus Sam Hughes. I think we both kind of felt like Tcia Torres was going to be too much. I did think Sam Hughes was going to give her a little bit better of a fight. But Tcia Torres is just on another level.
That's kind of happened what I thought was. Sam was tough, whatever. Tcia Torres, dude, Tcia hasn't looked that good in a long time,
Yeah.
She looked like an animal.
This is her last fight. She looked pretty good too.
But not like that. That was different.
Yeah, she was on another level.
And that might have been too of this girl doesn't belong with me, and Tcia knew it. And she just didn't she gave Sam Hughes that much respect in the cage.
She's zero.
That much. Yeah. She's freaking, she threw like 3 Superman punches. Who does that?
Yep. That was crazy.
Very impressive. Sam Hughes, like you said, she quit. Do you feel like she quit still?
I'd have to watch it over again to hear what it seemed like they gave her a chance and she but I don't know how bad her eye was, so I don't want to make any assumptions. And
dude, to me, that's the coach's and the doctor's job. As a fighter, I'll never quit. I've even told my coaches, I'm like, I swear, if you ever stop a fight, like, I'm done, But you know what? They're the ones that looking out for him. And if she can't see,
it was looking back at it and what happened without even rewatching the fight, it probably was best to just call it a night. Take your paycheck. You took it on short notice. You stepped up to a top level UFC fighter and you tried and you didn't get it, but that's okay. Next up, we had Gavin Tucker and Billy Cortillo. I think you called this fight right.
I did.
And tell us what you did when we placed our little wagers.
Yeah. So the guy that I follow, he does pretty well. That was like his first losing night in a long time. He was pretty heavy on Billy Cortillo, and I like Billy Cortillo, so I followed him thinking that he knew better than me. And overall, he probably does. But you know what? I should have trusted my gut because I picked Gavin Tucker, and that dude he's
legit.
He's legit because he's an MMA fighter and he's solid everywhere.
And his post-fight interview, I like that guy, man.
What a cool dude.
He's a great guy. There's a lot of up-and-coming guys I'm just like, man, these guys are good guys, man.
But you know what? So to me that I love about Gavin Tucker is, right? I mean, he looks like a rough dude, right? He's got all the tattoos.
Yeah.
He looks like but then he gets on the mic. He's humble. He's cool. He's educated. He speaks well. And it's like this, you know what? Like this, but this is what MMA is now. It's not the human cockfighting. It's not the brawls. It's these guys that, even though they look like the brawlers, it's these guys that are going to change the perspective to we're professional athletes.
Yep.
And I like it. Billy Cortillo, tough dude. He took everything and he took it well. But man, Gavin Tucker just put a clinic on him.
I liked it.
He's going to be a problem. He's a problem at featherweight.
Another problem. Another person that's going to be a problem is Rafael Fiziev. Does this guy not have some of the best striking? God. His combination, his leg kicks. I originally thought I was this close to picking Moicano, and I changed it. I know you did, and I stuck with Fiziev, and I, after watching his last fight and what he did that Matrix move when who was it that he was fighting? Casey. Casey. And he threw that kick and he just it was like the Matrix.
Yeah.
But his kicks, his combinations, maybe you could have said that fight could have went on a little bit longer. But
I will say this. The ref could have, because like Moicano was actively like trying to pull him into his guard.
Yeah.
I understand that he couldn't get up after, but like he could have pulled him into his guard. And if he could have held him there for 20, 30 seconds, he might have been able to, he might have been able to recover a little bit. But at the end of the day, after seeing those combinations, I really don't think it changed the outcome of the fight.
It wasn't changing those outcomes.
I'm not mad at the stoppage. It was a little bit early, but I'm not mad at it.
That division, that lightweight division, is just, I mean,
hey, if you're an up and coming,
he's not even ranked.
If you're an up and coming fighter, and you think you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to make a run at the UFC 155 division.
Dude, just look at the top 15: Islam Machkavov, Benel DeRouge, Drew Dober, Gregor Gillespie, Diego Ferreira, Kevin Lee, Paul Felder, RDA, Charles Oliveira, Al Quinta, Dan Hooker, Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. That's just the top 15. And then you got a guy like Fiziev, who's just a freaking murderer.
Dude.
I'm high on this. I'm high on him. I like him.
I'm high on the guys that are coming from, and we're going to talk about another gentleman here in a sec, but the guys that come from other sports and were elite at something else.
Yeah.
But still have full MMA game. Fiziev was a world champion combat sambo guy.
Yep.
And then he has the striking. It's like, dude, he's got experience before he only has 10 MMA fights, but he's got a lifelong worth of experience competing in combat sports. It's invaluable.
Yeah. I'm a fan, man. I'm a huge fan.
Big fan.
Next up, dude, Cub Swanson. I doubted him.
He still got it.
And he looked good too doing it. Like,
and Pineda's no punk.
I was a little worried because his leg got kicked a couple times. And
Cub's a savage, dude. I picked it. He said,
when are we going to spar Zach be the judge? Man, I'm not sparring with you, George. What are you talking about, man? How about I be the judge and you spar Zach?
We already know how that round goes. I get beat up.
Oh,
George beats me up. George is like Mike Tyson. He boxes like Mike Tyson, and then he throws in some kicks. Yeah, it's crazy. It's not fun.
I've watched George fight a few times. He throws down.
It's not a picnic.
No.
But yeah, no. Cub still got it. Like, I mean, that got me all jacked up to watch Cub, and not just that he won, but he got in a bit of a firefight with somebody, and he's coming back from that freaking ACL reconstruction from a heel hook, and when Pineda started going for it, my anxiety just went through the roof.
Oh yeah,
and he's Cub freaking Swanson, dude. Like, guy's the man. I love Cub. I love Cub. And I fully admitted I don't know. I will admit it. I'm not super convinced that he was going to win, but I picked him because I love Cub, and it paid off because he did great.
No, yeah, he did. I picked against him, and I doubted myself. He was impressive. One of the more, I mean, God, these were all impressive fights because this next guy, Cyril Gagne, we're gonna have a problem.
I got a hot take, and I texted it to you. I texted it to you. He's a legit problem for Francis Ngannou.
A legit problem for Francis Ngannou. And if you don't think so, you better rewatch this fight with JDS.
Because
look how smooth he is on his feet.
Francis Ngannou has elite hand speed, but homeboy is just, for him to be a legit heavyweight too, right? He's walking around like 255, right? Was it 254 or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember what he weighed. Yeah, somewhere around
there. I mean, he's a legit big boy heavyweight. He is light, and his kicks crack. Like,
thanks, George.
Appreciate it. But I really, most people can't say his name, and I'm not even going to try.
Cyril Gagne. That's what the recording said on
whatever.
Ariel.
He's a legit problem in the heavyweight division, and I wanted to pick Dos Santos, but You know what? JDS, and by the way, I don't want to hear this nonsense about JDS is done and the UFC should cut him either. I don't. I'm sorry. He's lost 4 in a row to 4, maybe 6 of the top heavyweights in the world. 4 guys that are all probably top 6 heavyweights in the world. Does that mean you have to retire? Because guess what? A lot of people would go 0-4 against that.
The only reason he may not get it. Hi, Angela. Thanks for watching. Yes, we are too. The only reason he's not going to get cut, I think, is because that division is just not as deep as some of the other divisions.
Because he's freaking JDS.
And he's JDS. But as far as Gagne is concerned, you touched on it. He's like Fiziev, where he's coming over from that Muay Thai background, and he's coming in with a
world champion Muay Thai.
World champion, and you saw it light on his feet.
People, it's like, oh, you see 6-0, 7-0. Oh, that's not that very many fights. No. That's just MMA fights. He's had plenty of fights.
I mean, initially when I looked at it before I did any research on the guy, I'm thinking, how's this guy getting a shot at JDS? Like, they
by the way,
really think highly of him.
3 submissions, striking background, 3
submissions. He's going to be a problem.
And it wasn't just the striking; it was the high level striking. I texted you and I told you the whole time he was measuring, Junior Dos Santos, and he was measuring and touching and measuring and touching, and he finally found the right distance, and he threw that power jab and really stepped into one, and it freaking rocked JDS with the jab. And he's a problem. Let me see JDS lose a couple times to unranked guys before I say, okay, he's done. Yeah. But I actually still think JDS is a top 10 heavyweight in the world.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't know.
There's guys that are in the teens and in that area that I think JDS still can beat. But monsters like JDS never getting back to the title though. That's the other thing, right? So
he was ranked 4th, man. He's got to drop down to
12th.
I don't even think he beats Walt Harris. I don't think he beats Olenek. Maybe Gustafson. Maybe Arlovsky. Give him Arlovsky. Him and Arlovsky.
Is Arlovsky ranked now?
He's 15 on UFC site.
Yeah, do that.
Give him Arlovsky or Walt Harris.
Do that. I want to see Gane and Derek Lewis fight. I do. I want to see it.
Yeah, he's going to be. Watch out for him because he's coming. Next up, another impressive fight was Kevin Holland against Souza, and I think we both were on Souza. And Kevin Holland is the real deal, calling out Chimaev. I love it,
dude.
Why not make that fight? Why are we not making that fight?
We were just like Jacare, if he can get it to the ground, it's over. Yeah, except Kevin Holland apparently has knockout power from the bottom on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen anything like that before?
Never.
Well, and it's not like Kevin Holland's just a slack. I mean, he's training with Travis Lutter. And isn't he like a black belt too? I don't know if he's a black belt jiu-jitsu.
I don't know, but that was fun, dude. Like he's a
dude. If Chimaev can't fight Edwards, give him to Holland. Let him and Holland go at it. I love it. I love it. They both can fight at 170, 185, right? Can't they both fight there?
Does Kevin Holland go down to 170? I don't think he does. I think he's a 185.
He might not. Well, Chimaev can go up, so we already know that. So, dude, run it. Mackenzie Dern.
I have a question. Who do you think wins that fight? Who do you think wins Chimaev, Kevin Holland?
I'm going to go Holland right now, just because I've seen more of him.
Okay.
And I was impressed with the way I like how scrappy Holland is when Souza tried to get him down, and he knows what he's doing, and he's scrappy. He's throwing punches everywhere.
He's 21-5. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Chimaev's not walking through him. Oh, that'd be a good fight.
I think it's a good fight. Like I think it's a really good fight.
I don't even want to pick.
I think Chimaev beats him, but I think it's a good fight.
You're probably right, but I mean, I'm going to go Holland just because of what he's. I mean, how many times did he fight this year? 5 times? 6 times?
It's 5-0. 5-0 in 2020.
5-0 in 20.
Yeah, but he did beat like 3 just dudes that didn't even belong.
He beat Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah,
that's no joke.
On 6 days' notice,
he beat Darren Stewart. No joke.
No joke.
Dude, he took that fight with I love the story that Dana White said the big mouth guy, when he was on the Contender Series, he wins, doesn't get the contract, talks shit, and Dana White doesn't give him the contract. And Thiago Santos, I don't remember who he was scheduled to fight, but lost the fight. So Dana White's like, give it to Big Mouth. He takes Thiago Santos to decision. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And now he's got wins with John Phillips, George Mershart. Like I like him.
He's good.
I'm up on. I'm liking Kevin Holland.
And his extreme self-confidence is super fun.
Oh yeah.
He's fun. I'm friends with him on Facebook just to watch the freak show of him on Facebook. It's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
He is a riot.
Yeah. He's good.
Talking smack to Izzy.
Hey,
he believes it too.
He's making himself relevant. Like he's selling himself. He's doing
the right thing.
Hell yeah.
What's fun is he's genuine about it. He really believes it. You can feel that he believes it.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, he's been impressive.
I love it. All right, you can talk about your girl Mackenzie Dern.
Mackenzie Dern. I love Mackenzie Dern. I like her, even though I went against her, and I don't know why I let other people chip in my ear and say Jan Maroba, Dern striking, blah blah blah.
Dern's gotten better.
Dern's gotten a lot better. She looked impressive. And I loved when she got cracked with that knee and she went back to her corner. She's like, is my nose broke? Her coach is like, no, your nose is fine. Did you see her comment afterwards? She's like, I didn't believe him. I didn't believe him.
No, I like Mackenzie Dern. So I was at her fight when she fought Ashley Yoder, which I believe was her second UFC fight, if I'm not mistaken. Click on it here. Anyway, it's not relevant. And I just remember thinking she lost that fight. No, that was her UFC debut.
Yeah,
I was there for her UFC debut. And I remember watching that fight going, I thought she lost that fight to Ashley Yoder, by the way. But I was like, man, like she was good on the ground. But her striking was so elementary that it was just, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if she's ever going to get good enough to compete. But dude, she's gotten way better. Like you could tell, like she is in the gym. Like she is legitimately in the gym, developing her becoming a full mixed martial artist and not just a jiu-jitsu specialist.
Yeah. No, and what I thought was kind of funny in this fight is a lot of people were saying this was going to be kind of a ground jiu-jitsu because Jandiroba is a black belt too. She wanted no part of it.
No part of
that ground game from Dern.
Well, there's levels to it. And Jandiroba is a world-class jiu-jitsu black belt, but there's black belts and then there's black belts.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like if you go watch, like there are people that are black belts, but I mean, go watch Proving Grounds. Like, right? Shout out Carl Sims and Proving Grounds. Those dudes are all freaking legit.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, like the one I went to, there was a guy, he ran through everybody. I can't remember his name, but he ran through everybody. And it was like, you know, there's purple belts and then there's a purple, like elite purple belt. And like, you know, like again, it's the levels to it, right?
It's impressive.
So, Mackenzie Dern and Jandiroba wisely didn't go in there being like, I could prove a point that I could out grapple Mackenzie Dern in an MMA fight, because I think something bad would have happened.
Were you okay with the decision? I know I was. What did you think? I saw some people saying they thought Jandiroba won, but I
dude,
thought
that's hate on Dern. Again,
I thought she won the second, but Dern won the first, Dern won the third.
Dern gets hate because people don't give her credit for being a good fighter because her looks.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm giving her all the credit.
I know you do. You're ridiculous. No, I'm talking.
Not watching. She is upstairs though. She might be watching. She's upstairs.
She might be. She'll come down and throw a shoe at you. That'd be hilarious. Sheree, if you're here, go downstairs and throw a shoe at Jason. No, but again, it's the Paige Van Zandt thing, right? People dismiss that she's tough for what she can do because she's pretty. Yeah. People, toss aside, well, Mackenzie Dern's it's because she's world class at a skill that helps her in MMA and she's getting better. Like, dude, I like Mackenzie Dern. I enjoy watching her fight.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching fights. I don't care what they look like outside of the cage. Like, whatever. Like, they could do their own Instagram stuff, like whatever. At the end of the day, like, I'm here as a fan to watch fights. Like, she is a legit fighter.
So where does she go from here?
Got to be top 15, right?
She's 13 on the UFC side. I don't know if this is updated.
Or top 10. I meant top 10. I'm sorry.
Oh, what about her and Tcia Torres next? Or is she ready for Tcia Torres? She ready for Torres? Because Torres was ranked 10 on the site.
Yeah, but Torres is going up to.
So Jan DeRoba was 11. Dern's was 13. So you got to move Dern up at least to 10 because Torres is going to move up. Torres was 10. Maybe a Carla Esparza, Michelle Watterson, any of those. Carolina Kowalski.
That would be a good fight for her.
Yeah.
You know what? She was 11.
You got to move her up to 10, I would think, right? She's in the top 10 now.
Yeah. You know, I would like to. Yeah, you know what? I would like her to see her fight like maybe a Michelle Watterson. A little more striking versus grappling.
Yeah, we could do that. Should we get to why I'm wearing my hat now, Zach? Finally, after 26 minutes of talking, I can finally explain why I'm wearing my Swami hat. 2 weeks in a row. This is 2 weeks in a row, Zach, and you don't listen to me. Jake Collier, and you wanted no part of me picking Charles Oliveira. Okay. First of all, I know I didn't. Did you think that fight was going to go that way between Oliveira and Ferguson?
No.
I don't think anybody on the planet thought that was going to happen. For him to dominate 30-26, he dominated the whole fight. He picked up freaking Ferguson and slammed him. He had Ferguson in an armbar.
Okay, so I had somebody message me. He does listen and said, "Man, was Tony Ferguson a hype train?" No,
I'm going to say
this is where I'm getting really angry.
Hey, I will say he was. I mean, Matt Oyer posted some stuff on there, and I agreed with some of it. I think, but you don't get in the UFC and win 12 fights in the UFC.
It's in the toughest division.
Yeah, and to be considered a hype train. But I will say, like I told you Friday when we recorded, I did watch a couple of his last few fights, and there was just something there where it's like he's good, but he's tougher than he is good. Does that make sense? Like he's just gritty. He won't quit, and it's going to take a special kind of fighter to beat that. And I think some of those other earlier guys that he was fighting, those Kevin Lees and Ally Quintus, I mean, those guys would get him hurt and think that, and they're thinking, and this is just me just rambling, they're thinking he's hurt, right? So they're going in there for the kill where he's not hurt. Where you get a guy like a Justin Gaethje or Charles Oliveira, they're just controlled, they're patient, they're following their game plan. But to say he's a hype train, I mean, you don't win 12 fights as a hype train in the UFC, 12 fights in a row. You just don't. But he like I keep reiterating back to, if you rewatch those fights, he wasn't dominating any of those fights. It wasn't like he was just he wasn't Khabib in any of those people. He would get hurt, and then he would come back and he'd slap a darce on somebody because they'd get sloppy. Edson Barbosa, Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis had a broken hand and stopped the fight, but he was busted up pretty good too. Yeah. Ramble on. What's your thoughts?
I think that Tony Ferguson went through the prime of his career and was on an insane run, and he never got the title shot that he deserved while he was at his peak.
That could be deflating.
But not just deflating. And it's not just deflating. It's why he's at its peak. You know, like they're catching him on the down part of his career. He's not at his peak anymore. No,
you can see that. I mean, he's not even close to being at his peak.
He's not the same guy he was 3 years ago.
No,
he's not.
No.
And people like Matt or whoever, you know, they want to crap on him for losing to Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira. Dude, Khabib or Tony might still be the boogeyman in that division that just ran into two guys that are world class.
Well, speaking of peak, Charles Oliveira is at his peak right now. Like we are seeing peak Charles Oliveira.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
If Tony fights him 3 years ago, Tony probably beats him.
I mean, I have a really hard time with people crapping on somebody that was the most dominant fighter besides Khabib in that division for the past 6 years.
There's a fine line in being dominant. I mean, he's winning.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say he was dominant.
He wasn't just winning though, but he was finishing people.
He was. I think that was because
of a lot of people. Because
of his toughness and his grit and his heart. And I just think he's, like you said, he's ran to the end of his rope, man. He's gonna be 37 years old.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, life starts to change when you get close to 40, man. Trust me.
As a heavyweight, that's fine. Yeah. But in those younger weight classes or the lower weight classes where athleticism is huge, that's a problem.
And do you think him not having a coach has hurt him? I think it has, personally. I mean, it's kind of like, I think you need somebody. You need a second opinion. For as much as I've been doing nutrition stuff for 9 years in bodybuilding, and I could probably run my own preps for my shows, but I have a coach. I know what my coach is going to say before I even freaking text him my pictures, but I still have a coach. Do you think that's hurt him? Or
what do you mean he doesn't have a coach? Like Eddie Bravo's his coach? That's
not really his coach, though. He doesn't have like a camp with him. He goes and trains with him, but he doesn't have like a camp that he's like consistent at. They were talking about it on Saturday. That's why I'm bringing it up. I mean, I know he has Eddie Bravo, but Eddie Bravo's just jiu-jitsu. It's not like he's getting any striking in there with him or.
Okay. I mean that's fine. So here's what Tony Ferguson has to decide, right? Does he want to make another run at a title? Because he just lost 2 world-class guys that are probably both going to be in the top 5, right? And again, I'm going to make the same argument for him as I did for JDS, but even harder for Tony Ferguson because I still think he's better than a lot of those guys. I mean, I think he beats like a Dan Hooker. I really do.
He might be the Dan Hooker. I'll give you that.
You know what I mean?
I'll give you Dan Hooker.
He could submit. He could still submit. Like, it's just that's right, George. But it's just. I mean, it's okay to say, you know what, he's past his prime. So what do you have to do, right? Like, what did Michael Jordan have to do? He had to reinvent himself, right? And he had to kind of change things. So maybe that is what Tony needs to do and correct some things. But you're not going to sit here and tell me this is it for Tony Ferguson. He should retire. He should be done because he lost 2 fights after winning 12, 13 in a row in the toughest weight division in the UFC.
I don't think he should retire, but I do think he should take some time off to assess some things because getting beat the way he did these last 2 fights, I mean, and regardless of how good he is, but you can't take 2 L's like that's like Tyron Woodley taking those back-to-back, like just ass whooping. I mean, he took back-to-back ass whoopings. But like Oliveira go ahead.
Let's pump the brakes on the Tyron Woodley comparison. Calm your tits there, big boy.
Why not? Tyron Woodley, he didn't go on a 12-fight win streak, but he was starching people like 6-7 fights in a row. And then he just gets freaking dominated.
Timeout. What happened at the end of the second round with Justin Gaethje?
Well, Justin got sloppy. It was 1 punch. The rest of the fight,
no, dude, go rewatch the first couple rounds.
Go rewatch
it. It was a good fight, and then Gaethje started winning, and then started pouring it on, right? Like in the championship rounds. Like, but I think you forget, like those first couple 2-3 rounds, like they're back and forth, and they're both in it.
Yeah,
Justin just hits harder.
Yeah, he did hit harder. He did. I don't think he should get cut. He's deserved the right to fight. Reassess yourself, take 6 months, 8 months off, come back the end of next year and fight a guy. Who would you like to see him? Maybe a Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker might be Dan Hooker might be much because Dan Hooker's stand-up's pretty legit. Maybe you throw him in there with an RDA.
Diego Ferreira.
Yeah, Diego Ferreira.
Ally Quinta.
Kevin Lee. Start letting him.
Dariush. Gregor
Yeah,
Gillespie, Drew Dober, all those guys.
You could put him in there at that gatekeeper type, Don't put him in there with a Rafael Fizzy.
But
that's the only problem with that division that he's in. It's so deep. It's like, man.
But freaking,
I feel bad.
I can't stand this narrative that it's like, oh, he got. Well, people are just remembering the whooping that Gaethje was putting on Tony Ferguson. Remember what did Trevor Whitman tell Gaethje in the corner? Right? He's like, don't hit him with 100% with everything. Take a little bit off it. Right? Why? Why did he coach him to say that? Because that's how Gaethje lost fights. Trevor Whitman said that because he still felt like Tony Ferguson was dangerous enough that if he didn't knock it off, he could lose that fight still. Tony Ferguson was very much in that fight through the first 3 rounds. It was not a one-sided.
It wasn't
everybody
like
remembers.
Oliveira.
No, it wasn't like Oliveira, but it wasn't a one-sided like the 5th round. Gaethje was pouring it on, right? Like the fight was over at that point. It was a good stoppage. But dude, the first part of that fight, it was not one-sided. It was not. Yeah. And I love Justin Gaethje, and that's who I was kind of cheering for. But dude, you gotta. There's only one thing I'm convinced of now. Tony Ferguson would not have beaten Khabib. Where I thought that Tony Ferguson would have caused problems, he would not have beaten Khabib.
No, we would have just saw
because I thought Tony Ferguson wouldn't be able to.
We would have saw what we saw Saturday with Khabib.
Yep, pretty much.
So let's just say. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I'm sorry. I will not subscribe to this narrative that Ferguson is this overhyped, never was really an elite 155er, whatever. Just because he lost 2 fights when he was 36 and 37 years old. And by the way, too, we've seen this before. Fighters get in these wars. He was in a war with Justin Gaethje. They're just not the same anymore after it. And guess what? That's okay too. Does Chuck Liddell getting knocked out the way he did at the end of his career take away from the great run that he was on? No, it does not. It's part of the sport. And unfortunately, when you start getting to the end of the road, it's a very ugly part of the sport. But it does not take away from the greatness that Tony Ferguson was.
Yeah, I agree, man. 100%. I agree. Obviously, I give a shit about it. But
anybody that wants to talk crap on what he did for 6-7 years in the toughest division, like, I'm sorry, like, I think your recency bias is ridiculous.
How much of his problem is the Bronx going to be? Let's just say Khabib is retired because he's pretty much said he's retired, and I don't really see him coming back. Does Oliveira fight the winner of Poirier and McGregor for the belt? You got to do it, right? No. He beats both those guys, by the way. He beats McGregor and he beats Poirier.
We'll see.
He beats both those guys.
We'll see.
Speaking of peak levels, he is at his peak level. For what he did to Ferguson, that was impressive.
Dude, let him do it to Justin Gaethje. The tournament right now should be Poirier and McGregor versus Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira, and with Michael Chandler as the substitute for if anybody falls out of that.
I don't know if you. Oliveira, fight to me, you got to move. They do still have Justin Gaethje rank 1. He did lose to the champ. I feel like Dan Hooker's kind of getting the shaft here. RDA too. RDA's getting the shaft too. RDA's looked impressive his last fight.
Okay.
I think
let RDA and Michael Chandler fight. Sorry, Dan Hooker, you're out.
Yeah, it's like Dan Hooker's getting the shaft, and he had a war with Dustin Poirier.
I know, but he lost.
I know it was a good fight. He's still ranked 5th.
That's fine, but he lost.
So who do you want to see the winner of McGregor and Poirier?
The winner of Gaethje and Oliveira.
Oliveira beats Gaethje too.
Okay, I want to see it because I'm riding with Justin Gaethje.
Let's say Khabib is not retired. Do you give Oliveira the shot?
It doesn't matter because then he's just going to win.
I know, but I'm just saying.
By the way, I am done betting against Gaethje forever.
Thank you.
So
Khabib,
Julian Ruiz,
Khabib.
Julian Ruiz, and all you other people, and Hackford, and everybody that thinks Oliveira gives Khabib a fight, stop it. He doesn't give him a fight.
They're basing it off the recency bias, but he will not be able to do that to Khabib. I promise you that.
There's a 0% chance he puts Khabib on his back.
I think it's a competitive fight. He does have good stand up, and
it's competitive. It's competitive from the standpoint that the Poirier and Conor fight was competitive.
Yeah,
he might be able to win a round, maybe. Yeah. That is it.
Yep. But let's just say Khabib isn't retired. Who gets the next shot? Are you giving McGregor Poirier the shot, or are you?
Nope.
I don't think either one of those. I don't think the winner that they don't deserve the shot.
Well, it's Oliveira or RDA, or you let Oliveira and RDA fight for a number one contender fight. Because, dude, I agree with Khabib on this. He didn't just beat McGregor, Poirier, and Gaethje. He tapped him or choked him out. Yeah. That fight's that's done. Like, I mean, I'd like to. As a fan, I would like to see an engaged 100% Conor if Conor's back. I like to see if Conor can give it a better fight. If everything he said is true, I don't care about the foot injury, but the training consistent and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I do want to see that because I think Conor's a special athlete and a special fighter. And I think that there could be something there that could be insane if like that fight somehow was like 2-2 going into a fifth round or something. Like, I think Khabib beats him. I really do. I'm not saying I think it, but I want to see it. I don't need to see Gaethje or Poirier again at all. I don't really need to see the Conor rematch. If Khabib comes back and if it's at 155, and I think that is a big if. Yeah. If it's at 155, the fight is God.
Oh,
I didn't know he watched this show. I'm out.
He's watching now.
Ryan, you just took away the fun of the podcast for me.
You're ruining it.
You just ruined the podcast for me. No, but I don't need to see any of that. If Khabib comes back, it's to get to 30-0, right?
Yeah.
Oliveira is a worthy opponent. He just beat Ferguson. You know, that's a high level win. He beat Kevin Lee. He beat Ferguson. Just if RDA is really right there and RDA is calling for a title shot, let those two fight, and the winner of that can fight Khabib if he really wants to. But I really only think Khabib's coming back for the GSP fight.
I think so too. I don't think that's that.
So if that's the case, I don't know, man. Let Gaethje and Michael Chandler fight, and let Oliveira and RDA fight, and let Conor and Poirier fight, and then whoever the two most impressive winners are out of those three fights, let them fight for the belt.
You're just gonna say screw Dan Hooker?
Yeah, he lost his last fight. The rest of those guys won their last fights.
Gaethje lost his last fight.
Yeah, but it was a title fight. It's different. I'm not leaving Gaethje out.
All right. Anyways, impressive win by Oliveira. That was impressive.
Yeah, it was impressive. But again, too, Tony Ferguson, Oliveira broke his freaking arm. He's still at tap.
And I didn't realize how big Oliveira looked big. He looked bigger than Ferguson.
He looked more filled out for sure.
Screw the hooker. Everybody's screwing the hooker. Yes, screw the hooker. Screw the hooker.
I love Dan Hooker. I think he's a future champ, but
stacked division. That division is just crazy. And
that's the bummer, that it's so good, is that people are going to get left out. But I mean,
and you got these guys coming up in that division at the bottom too. It's like, man, deadly. I would not want to be a 155-pound fighter right now in the UFC.
No.
Now let's talk about possibly candidate for fight of the year, Figareto and Moreno. What a freaking fight. That fight was crazy good. Even Cherie was like, holy crap, like these guys are like going at it. I'm like, yeah.
I wish I would have had the balls to go with Moreno, and I didn't. And
How
but
impressed were you with
I
Moreno?
think he's special. I think he's special. I've said it since he was on The Ultimate Fighter. There's something about that kid that's special. He is you want to talk about a dog who get in a dog fight? That kid's a dog, dude. He freaking Figareto was putting people down with those shots, and he ate them and walked right through them.
Yeah.
He never shied away. He never I mean, there's no way he wasn't hurt, but he never really showed that he was even hurt.
Early on, when Figareto got him up against the cage and Moreno turned him, I was like, ooh, he might be a little stronger than Figareto. He's strong. And I don't think.
Oh, and by the way, took Figareto down at will with that body lock.
Yeah, Figareto did say, and Dana White did confirm, he did go to the hospital the night before for some kind of stomach whatever. So I don't know how much that bothered him, and I don't like when people use that excuse. Look, if you take the fight and you fought, everybody has injuries, everybody has something wrong. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care.
Well, it's relevant.
Not relevant.
It's relevant.
Why?
Because it factored into his performance. Maybe it did take a little bit, but at the end of the day, it didn't cheapen Brandon Moreno's performance, which was spectacular.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it didn't look like Figareto was missing something off his fastball when he's throwing those bombs.
No.
He throws nukes with his right hand.
Did you agree with the point deduction?
Yes, I did. And I think it should actually happen more often like that.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was pretty.
I think eye pokes and groin shots. I actually think they should just be an automatic point deduction, accidental or not. Because guess what? If I could accidentally poke somebody in the eyes, I'm not going to be that careful. Because guess what? I could poke somebody in the eye accidentally. There's a difference between doing it accidentally or doing and just not you know what I mean? There's an accident because you didn't mean to, and then there's an accident because you're not trying not to.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with the John Jones and even DC, in those fights and stuff. Were they trying to poke people in the eyes? No. But were they doing anything to make sure that they didn't poke people in the eyes? No. Same things with the groin shot. Dude, you've been kicked in the dick. Sorry, excuse my language. If you've been kicked in the freaking cup that hard during a sparring session or whatever, it really doesn't matter if they meant to or not. It still affects the fight.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he correctly took away the point. Now, if it's a gray, I think the indiscretion should be if it's a graze or not. But dude, if it dropped somebody to your knees like that. That was pretty
hard.
Dude, that was a clean nut shot.
There was a time when they were on the ground and Figareto was on his back. It looked like he was putting his hands on his face, but his fingers were in his eyes. He was doing that intentionally.
100%.
Yeah, he did that on purpose.
But no, I think that actually should be more common practice.
I have not rewatched the fight. Initially, I thought Brandon Moreno did enough to win, and that could have just been my love for the kid. He just was fighting with his heart. You could just see how hard he was. And I was kind of dismissing what Figareto was doing back to him, because even though Moreno was catching him, Figareto was doing just as much damage right back to him. He was tagging him, body shots, counter shots, jabs. That jab was just snapping his head back. What did you think of the decision? Did you agree with it?
My at-home scorecard, who by the way was biasly rooting for Moreno. I had Moreno winning 3-2, and then you take the point deduction. I thought it should have looked like it should have been that's 48-46 Moreno. That's what I thought it was going to be, 48. But I could easily see. Let's see, was it the third and fifth round maybe? They were close.
Third round was the point deduction round, right? Or was it second? Yeah. Third round. Yeah, third round was the point deduction.
So I could easily see the third and fifth round that I thought Moreno won. I don't have a huge issue if you said Figareto won that. And then that gives Figareto to 3-2. And
I thought everybody thought Figareto won the fifth pretty easy.
Okay.
I thought it was two, three, and four were the ones that I thought Moreno was, and he was competitive in the first round, but I thought he lost.
So do I. Can I ref it? I want to see Aldo and George fight, and then I'll ref it, and you can judge it. Anyways, I wasn't mad at the draw with the point. I could see how somebody gave Figareto 3 out of the 5 rounds. Like that wasn't horrible to me. The one that when I saw, what was it? Somebody said Figareto won like 49-46 or whatever.
I didn't see that.
Or 47, 49, 47 or whatever, saying that he won all. Like, no.
Yeah.
It's that dork Chris Lee or whatever his name is. The new Adelaide Bird of MMA judging.
So they got to run it back then, right?
They have to. Which doesn't bode well for Brandon Moreno, I don't think, unfortunately.
You don't think so?
No, it's the same thing as right. People are talking about fight of the year with Joanna and Weili and stuff, and they're talking about this and that, that respect. But to capture that magic, I think is different. And again, it's like the same thing as Justin Gaethje too. Moreno ate a lot of power shots.
Yeah, he did.
I'm worried you're just not the same after some of those wars. Like I hope that there's like a good long 5-6 months between that, so Moreno can fully heal. Gosh,
George and Aldo, we're setting it up.
What have we done?
Are announcing it first, Aldo and George.
What have we done? Aldo can knock me out. That's fine. George doesn't want to do it. Aldo can beat me up. I want him to throw a punch. I just let him beat me up.
Well, George said he can't fight Aldo because he's his coach.
Yeah, I want to fight Aldo. I love him too much. I don't think I could hit him.
Who are we going to get Aldo to fight? Maury. Aldo and Maury.
Aldo would fight Maury tomorrow. Aldo, are you watching? Would you fight Maury? How fast did you fight Maury?
I don't know. Somebody jumped off. I don't know if it was him.
I will put $1,000 on Aldo. I will put $5,000 on Aldo. You knock Maury out.
All right, so we got to run that one back then. We got to run back.
You got to run it back. It was a great fight. Props to Moreno. I think I thought he did enough to win that fight, especially even without the point deduction. But it was a great fight. I'm sorry. Here's the other thing too. People that are critical of these fighters, all of them, Tony Ferguson, Davison, Moreno, Jacare, Kevin Holland, JDS, whatever, anybody that wants to be critical of any of these guys, they go in there and put everything on the line. And it's the most entertaining thing in the world to me to watch. I love it so.
You're freezing. Your computer is.
I just don't even understand how you critical of. They just in there and just leave it. Oh yeah.
Your screen's frozen.
Oh no.
Slow down. You're getting a little too excited, Zach. Slow down. All right, talk. Say something.
All right,
I think you're good. Yeah, you're good.
But I just don't understand being critical of these guys. They go in there and they leave it all in the online. I don't even care if it's JDS. I don't care if it's Tony Ferguson and they go lose. The online criticism from these freaking keyboard warrior dorks is ridiculous.
Sounds like you're going to get beat up tonight. I don't want any part of that.
Joke's on them. I might not be there.
No, I get it, man. I mean,
I hate it.
You can't. I mean, obviously we can criticize a little bit, but I get what you're saying. You know what I'm going to criticize is freaking bare knuckle boxing. I tried to watch it again Friday night. Can't do it.
How bad is it? I can't
do it. I can't do it.
It's not martial arts.
It's not. I was going to say something and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be disrespectful to the guys that are in there doing it, because I think there is some skill to get in there and do that. No, you know what? I'm going to say it. There's not any skill. It's literally just a bar fight. It's literally a bar fight in a ring or whatever you want to call it. That's what it is.
I can't say there's no skill, but it's not martial arts.
No, I mean, coming from watching UFC and all, LFA, Bellator, I watched one championship on Friday. I think it was Friday night or Saturday afternoon. I watched that. It's skill. It's measuring distance. It's measuring pace. There's kicks and takedowns. It's not just going in there and they say break and you just run and just punch.
Which, by the way, it's not even boxing. Like, what's boxing called? The sweet science, right?
No,
there's
not.
There's this beautiful like skill and dance and science to boxing. And love him or hate him, like can't stand Floyd Mayweather, but it's freaking amazing what he's able to do in that boxing ring. I've never watched a bare knuckle fight or a clip of it and been like, man, that was incredible. I'm like, oh my gosh. And that, like, I hate it. I can't watch it.
And I don't
enjoy it.
I can't speak from a fighter's perspective because I don't fight, but the risk reward to do that, it's like you look at a guy like Rowdy, who's a freaking savage. I would have liked to seen that guy do more MMA. He probably could still be fighting. He could still be fighting MMA.
Not anymore.
Not anymore because he took that fight and he ends up getting an eye injury. But that's what I'm saying. It's like the risk reward is not there. You catch one punch wrong, which seems to happen literally every fight. Somebody's gashed over the eye, and it's like.
But the problem is it pays better than the small MMA shows. I guarantee you right now, if Rowdy could make as much money doing MMA as he did bare knuckle boxing, he would have done it. He would have done
with
MMA.
The right team behind him, he probably could have.
And he has a good team behind him. He's at SBG in Idaho.
Yeah, I mean a good management team to help promote ticket sales and all that good stuff.
I'm just saying it's not MMA. The promoters here in Utah, Kevin and Pat do a great job. Cody obviously trying to do big things on the pro level. They pay their guys. They pay their guys really well and probably really fair for competitively for a regional circuit. I can't say as an expert, but I just know working with them, like, they're good dudes.
Well, now that you have access to watch some of these other fights, watch some of these other smaller promotions, and then tell me how Utah doesn't have one of the top promotions in the country.
Dude, I believe it.
Production level, talent level, like we have some stuff here.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
100%.
I don't even want to talk about bare knuckle anymore.
Don't do it.
Did you see Yoel Romero go to Bellator?
Oh, dude, Bellator's getting some dudes.
Corey Anderson, Yoel Romero. I don't think anybody beats the champ at
Rumble Johnson.
I still don't think anybody beats their champ, but I like all the names.
Yoel can.
Yoel ain't beating that. Yoel
can beat anybody.
Yoel is not beating that kid. That's the I don't even know how to pronounce his name. That kid that just beat Ryan Bader will mop the floor with Yoel Romero. Book it, mark it. He's
been the last person that's mopped the floor with Yoel Romero.
The only I won't say all of them lose to him because I think Corey Anderson probably is the only one that has the shot to beat him. But Yoel ain't beating him. Johnson ain't beating him. Has-beens.
Well, Johnson's heavyweight.
Has-beens. Is Johnson heavyweight or he's going light heavyweight?
No, he's staying a heavyweight.
Johnson and Bader then?
Oh yeah. I'll watch that.
Who does Bellator even have any whose heavyweights does Bellator have?
Yeah, Ryan Bader. Is Fedor still on their roster? Big Country Roy Nelson?
No, I think
Matt Mitrione. Czech Congo.
Ooh, Czech Congo's there. Yeah, I forgot about Czech, but I still don't think any of those guys beat. I'm looking them up right now. I gotta know this. Ryan Bader is the world heavyweight champion. How come I can't see the?
Hey, did you get hyped watching that Conor Poirier 2 promo? All sorts of hype.
I know I can't wait to talk about that one too. So good. So good. I think it's definitely going to be a different Vadim Nemkov is the lightweight heavyweight champion.
He's a monster. Dude. He's a monster. But Yoel's no joke. I'm telling dude, Yoel has lost to Robert Whittaker twice. Stop. Get that look off your face. Reach's going to smack you. He lost to Robert Whittaker twice. He lost to Izzy. And who else did he lose to?
I don't have it up.
It doesn't matter. Like, dude, he's losing to world champions. Like, it's fine. In the UFC. Bellator's not the UFC. Sorry.
Well, we got another good card this weekend coming up too. A stacked card this weekend with Jeff Neal and I'm losing my train of thought here. Wonder Boy, yeah. Who do you like in that one? I know we'll break it down. You like Wonder Boy? I kind of like Jeff Neal.
Oh yeah. Whitaker title fight, lost to Whitaker in a title fight, lost a split decision to Whitaker in a title fight, lost to Paulo Costa, which was super debatable whether he lost to it decision, lost to Izzy by decision. He's never been finished in the UFC.
He ain't beaten.
And he wasn't finished. He wasn't finished in 3 title fights and a number 1 contender fight with Paulo Costa.
Give him Bader. Let him fight Bader.
Do it. See it. See it.
This weekend's card, there's like 15 fights on this weekend's card. Thompson, Jeff Neal. You got Chito Vera, Jose Aldo's back.
Oh my
Chaos
gosh.
Williams, Michael Pereira, Rob Font, Marlon Moraes is on here. Greg Hardy, Marcin Tibera. Anthony Pettis is on this card against Alex Morano. Bilal Muhammad, Diego Lima. You got Jimmy Flick, Cody Durden, who's supposed to fight a couple weeks. Get him, Aldo. Get him.
Yeah, he would. He would beat me up easy. He's freaking ninja. He's old Brazilian tricks.
Aldo's not that old, is he?
He's Grandpa Aldo for a reason. But dude, he's
Grandpa
the master.
Aldo.
He's master. He's black belt everything. Black belt, master. He beats everybody up at the gym.
Does Aldo get in there and spar with you guys?
I've been trying to get him to spar with me for like 2 years. But he won't because he knows he'll hurt me. And then I won't be able to fight for like a year. He'll ruin all my confidence and he'll break me and then I'll quit the gym and he doesn't want that. So he's letting me off easy. I want him to punch me.
Just to see what it feels like. What about leg kick? What about leg kick?
Oh, he's leg kicked me at like 30% of his leg kick sucks. He kicks you in the leg, you're not walking for a couple minutes for sure.
All right.
I want to find an old video of him fighting. Anyways, there is one somewhere.
Who do you got?
Knocking a dude out.
Thompson and Neal right off the bat. I know we're going to do a breakdown card, but who do you got?
Stephen Thompson.
Going Thompson?
Yeah.
I think I'm going Neal. I'm not going to make the official pick yet.
It's a great fight, but I think Thompson has 2 paths to victory. Neal has 1. Neal has to knock him out. Thompson can knock out Neal, or he can just outpoint him for the whole fight. Like Thompson's range and distance control is going to be really tough for Jeff Neal to get in on him, I think.
Neal has finished everybody but one person in the UFC. Bilal Muhammad.
He's a monster, dude. He's a monster. But people need to remember too, Stephen Thompson was touching up Wonder Boy when Wonder Boy was touching Tyrone Woodley up when Tyrone was still a monster.
Yeah, he was.
He's tough, dude. And Thompson knows how to.
Zach's computer's frozen.
Distance.
We need to get you better internet there. You're freezing up on us. You're freezing up on us again, Zach.
Well,
should we cut it off for today? You want to cut it off for today? I'll end it for today. All right. We'll give you guys the breakdown card towards the end of the week. Thanks again for listening to the Damage Plan MMA podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube, like it, share it, let everybody know about it. Thank you very much.
I'm back. Bye.